On the collective stage, the people in the world could be exuding their power in very destructive ways. And this can create a lot of overzealous energy and overdoing energy of mightying the self to the other. This is a time filled with rich, deep change and automatic writing that can force you into new ways of being if you're aware of it. This is about people being competitive and people also being abusive or immoral or subversive with their power. All these things we're going to talk about when we talk about the very powerful election US aspect of Mars opposite Pluto on the US election on the day that people put their votes in. Mars is at the energetic degree of Cancer, and Pluto is at the energetic degree of Capricorn. These two signs are opposing each other, putting us in a corner, forcing us to go in a particular direction, conflict on either side, crossroads in the road. But ultimately, when we use this opposition for our highest good, we can balance the two energies together, balance Mars and Cancer and Capricorn together to form a happy medium, to form a happy match, to form that great balance that we're so seeking for ourselves now. I'm going to get to that aspect, but the very, very first thing that we have to acknowledge is that on November 2nd, Mercury is entering Sagittarius. It will stay here for quite a while because on November 26th, Mercury will station and turn right around in Sagittarius. It will turn direct on December 15th, but it's going to spend 3 weeks retrograde in the sign of the Archer. So let's explore now what flavor is in the flavoring yogurt mix of what Mercury in Sagittarius is all about. This is an expansive and adventurous energy. We're feeling more expansive. We're feeling more adventurous. This is a time where we want to be more honest and blunt toward ourselves and what we are aiming for, what we're doing, being blunt about what we're saying, what we're expressing, being very truthful in our deliveries, very truthful in our emotional sort of convolutions of what we're giving. This is a good time to open your mind, expand your horizons, being more open-minded in your interactions with the world around you. This is good for that. This is good for big picture thinking, seeing, overlooking the smaller details of things, and seeing the forest for the trees, basically. And philosophical discussions. This is great for any type of philosophical discussion as well. So those philosophical discussions can go quite well at this time. This is good for seeking out new experiences and perspectives, meeting out with different people, meeting out with them, interacting with them, hearing their perspectives on life through their own experiences, enriching ourselves with new experiences that we want to act upon in our life. In the intellectual sense, another thing about Mercury and Sagittarius is it can tell a very, very good story. It's a with people who have this are very great storytellers, and they can be quite animated in their approach, quite exuberant in their approach. And they're very enthusiastic individuals if you have this placement in your chart. You'll be uh, intellectually enthusiastic. And so this is a time about finding new ideas while remaining clear in our communication. So miscommunications may happen because Mercury is considered detriment and Sagittarius is considered the opposite of its domicile of Gemini. So it's more likely, especially as Mercury retrogrades in Sagittarius, there are going to be more miscommunications. So it's very, very important to communicate what you need to communicate very clearly and to the point. Like, Do not jump to conclusions. Make sure that you look at all the different sources and pieces of information, examining all the facts of things, examining all of these facts before just jumping to conclusions. So definitely looking into those things is very, very important now. You may have a lot of inspirational ideas to get up and do something. Now's the time to act on those ideas. Um, this is, again, a very enthusiastic signature when it comes to sharing its insights. This opportunity invites us to go beyond what we know. Sagittarius is about going beyond the known boundaries, pushing the boundaries, going into the open field and being a horse and, being free to the fields of exploring whatever it wants to explore. So, expanding your mind, learning new information, going on new sites and learning new information. This is excellent for expansion. We feel this need for curiosity to be sort of quenched. And we feel this need for our intellectual mind to be stimulated in brand new avant-garde kind of ways. And so this is good for intellectual and expanding your horizons. This is good for engaging with people from diverse cultures and people who have very, very diverse philosophical and spiritual beliefs. And this is good for any kind of personal growth. Now let's move on to the whammy aspect going on November 3rd, which is Mars trine Pluto. I'll get there. But let's first talk about the moon is going to form a trine with Mars, first of all. So this little aspect is going on November 3rd. So the moon is in trine with Mars. When the moon is in trine with Mars, we know what we want and how to get it, basically. This is about boosting up our relationships. You will be looked on as a very honest person in all the best of ways when you assert yourself, when you speak your truth. You will not be looked on as rude or bossy. That is important to know. It's important to stand up for yourself and defend those you care about. You may feel the strong, courageous sense of this at this time. You may feel more courageous and confident to do the necessary things in your home and household environment as well. Attending to um your attending to your home environment can be very healing and nurturing for you now. So that's a very, very good area to put your focus. And so it's good to set protective boundaries as well. Setting these protective boundaries, like I'm making a boundary. I'm not rigidly cutting you out from my life, but I'm drawing a line in the sand here. This is my boundary. Please respect this boundary. This is good for um, enhancing the physical connection in your relationships, enhancing your physical connection in those relationships that you have. This is good for having a lot of emotional strength that you can draw upon, that other people can draw upon. You're very, very strong in your emotions at this point in time that other people can draw upon you in very healthy types of ways. So that's positive. Now, the moon is going to sextile Pluto. So when the moon is sextiling Pluto, the moon is at 29 degrees of Scorpio, Pluto is at 29 degrees of Capricorn. So we are richer for our emotional experiences at this time. We may have greater control over our subconscious that allows us to transform our reality. This is good for cleaning your restroom at the time, getting things cleared up in that area of your house. This is good about going beneath the surface to find the truth of things, finding the true answers of things. What is really, really going on underneath the surface? That's what this time really invites you to explore. This is good for understanding complex and occult subjects as well. This is also good for emotional trauma and drama healing through therapeutic means, through meditation, through healing workshops. Whatever the modality of healing is, this is the time to move on that path. This is good when it comes to dealing with underlying emotional and psychological issues. If there are any emotional and psychological issues, guilt, vandellousy, certain mental disorders, whatever it may be, this is a good time to address that. Things may unravel in your life in order for you to fully release them. So if something is coming apart in your life, now is the time where you must release this type of thing. This is good for emotional growth as well. And so another aspect that we have going on is that we have the moon conjunct Mercury in Sagittarius. Very, very early degree Sagittarius. So this makes our emotions more sensitive and changeable. This can create emotional bonds that cloud your judgment. So you may form very, very deep emotional bonds at this time, but these bonds can cloud your judgment. So be aware of this. Be aware that you're not seeing things, you may not be seeing things objectively, but rather subjectively. So it's good that you don't have your emotions clouding your judgment, that you don't have your relationships smother you, cloud your judgment. You're able to objectively, in a way that shows that you have self-respect, make decisions in a vendatical point of view at this time. It's very, very good to let your feelings off your chest now. Communicate your feelings in whatever mode you find possible, through speaking, through writing, especially communicating and dealing with relationship issues. This is good. There can be an openness and understanding with this, so being very open-hearted and understanding about your own struggles and other struggles can be very good now. You may have a lot of amplified emotions at this time, so these things might come up. Your emotions might be more heightened, more tuned, the volume up knob higher. You may also find that you have greater mood swings at this time as well, so be aware of that. Now, here's a signature not to overindulge. Venus is opposite Jupiter. We have to talk about this because this is a big aspect also going on November 3rd. So this transit can last up to a week or 10 days, but it's exact on November 3rd. So this creates a tug of war. I already described the aspect of the opposition at the beginning of this video, so I will just gloss over that and move on to what the aspect is really all about. So when Venus is opposite Jupiter, it's sort of like the host and the party planner have different ideas about how to throw a party. Because Venus and Jupiter are the party goers, are the benefics of astrology. So Venus wants relationship harmony, Jupiter wants fun and freedom. Um, so Venus wants comfort, Jupiter wants excitement. Venus values personal relationships. Jupiter values personal growth. Venus is all about what you have. Jupiter is about wanting more, wanting to expand it more. I want more, 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 more. This is a good time to indulge in party if you have the money and resources to do this. Be realistic in your regards if you don't have the money to do this, but take advantage of this energy. You may have overspending habits that can come up with this time, so be aware of not overspending. This is a good aspect for having fun and enjoying life. Um, know this. You may not be motivated to do the work that you have to do because of this energy making you want to party, want to have fun, want to relax, do all these things in life. It may be harder to motivate yourself to pick up your bootstraps and go to work and do what you need to get done on the practical plane of existence. So you may need to dig very, very deeply to find the motivation to work. Getting past that energy, put your focus into work and find what is positive and what is enjoyable about your work, no matter how bored or monotonous it may be. Your attitude may be one of carelessness and lack of responsibility. Others can find that your attitude is like this, so be aware of that. It's also good not to overdo anything. Don't overindulge in food or drinks, anything like that. This is a good aspect for affectionate ness and playfulness. So, this may be sort of qualities that you're sort of imbibing now. Um, this is good for pleasurable activities, whatever those activities may be. Now, let's talk about Mars opposite Pluto now. So this aspect is also going to be exact on April 27th of next year. Um, Mars is going to be in Leo by that point, around 3 degrees, and Pluto's going to be in Aquarius around 3 degrees of Aquarius. So, November 3rd, 2024, April 27th, 2025. Those are the dates when this is exact, when Mars is moving direct. So you may feel the passion and desire to reach your goals. You may have a lot of passion, a lot of intensity when it comes to going after your goals, yet you may have a difficult time achieving them. People at this stage on the collective level could become very feisty, very exuberant, very competitive, very benevolent. They could become very just in a fighting mode, basically. So this is good for any kind of competitive activity. But you may become ruthless or controlling if you follow the low road of this transit. So it's good to channel primal energies into physical work. So whatever those things that you do to channel your energies into whatever physical work that you're doing, this is very, very good for that. Doing something physical, doing physical things, tangible things. So your actions may threaten and intimidate other people as well. So know that if you're not careful, that's going to be the end result of that. Ruling brings the danger of violence if you are subversive or immoral. So be mindful of how you rule, how you take control of your power, that you're not doing it for self-centered reasons, but you're doing it on behalf of your family, your community, and you take the lead and step up to the plate in your life, in that arena. It's important to pick your battles very carefully right now. There may be danger in romantic relationships. Own your power, but also be aware of your limitations. So this is very, very important. And I was reading about the serenity prayer, about God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Know your own power, but also know your limitations of that power. This may be the final push of old structures that have been destructed. Sort of, Pluto and Capricorn is the last gasp of all these structures since 2008 that have been going through a massive transformation, people in power, etc., that have been going on the downturn pike of life. And so these are finally, that boulder is finally destroying that wall at this point. It'll be completely done by the 19th of this month. So this is preparing us. This aspect of Mars opposite Pluto is a harbinger preparing us for Pluto in Aquarius coming up later this month. This is good for putting in the work to follow the rules of the system And when you follow the rules of the system, when you learn the ways of sketchings, when you learn the ways of Brixtons, then you can have greater freedom. Capricorn comes before Aquarius, structure before freedom. This is about shifting our awareness towards spiritual growth with Pluto and Aquarius. That can be very fitting time for spiritual growth. This is about weighing the consequences of our choices and acting with self-awareness. It's very, very important that we do this at this particular point in time. Um, And so when it comes to Mars and Cancer, that's the part that needs nurturing. That's, how we need to be nurtured. Mars in Leo is the independent child who wants to express itself, wants to shout what it needs from the rooftops, who want to live a heart-centered life. That's Mars in Leo. We'll talk more about that later on in this video. But this is good for getting out of victim mentality and into courage. Not being a victim, why me, why is this happening to me, etc., and stepping into a more courageous, more empowered, more strong, more boundarying sort of version of who we can be. Birthing something new, the birthing process from the old age to the new age, can involve some discomfort. Know that this and be willing to move through this discomfort. This is good for connecting with the most valuable shadowy aspects of ourselves when it comes to birthing something new. This is great for that. Um, Connecting with these aspects of ourselves is very, very important. Understand our actions with integration. That's also very important. Um, and so this aspect is pecking apart and destructing our innocence, pulling us into the shadows, pulling us into profound truths, pulling us down into the underworld to really come face to face with our shadows, with the truths that we need to hear. Another aspect going on today is that we have the moon coming into a trine with the north node in Aries. The moon's in Sagittarius at around 6 degrees, the north node's in Aries at around 6 degrees. So relationships at this time can help you grow and help you evolve. This is good to listen to and honor your intuition. Evaluate where your intuition has guided you to the right place and where it has led you astray. It's important to be aware of past, present, and future potentials now. You may have a lot of epiphanies about the source of emotional wounds and psychological traumas. There can be a lot of healing on a deep level when it comes to this kind of thing. That you may recognize, you have a greater recognition towards the root of your emotional wounds. This is good for changing what you learned from the past and release past baggage. Releasing what no longer serves you from the past. What regrets, what storylines, what narratives are holding on to that you finally need to release now. So find ways of releasing that baggage, those burdens. This is good for examining the patterns that have emerged. There may be challenges and importance in your relationship with nurturing figures, particularly feminine or mothering figures. These relationships are under the spotlight at this particular time. They are in focus right now. So these relationships are very, very important for us now. There may be enhanced psychic and emotional sensitivity when it comes to this. This is about channeling your creativity in ways which align with your true self, as well as to being creative. This is good for also putting yourself out there in the public stage, not being afraid to be seen, getting out and interacting with the world, doing the jump a dump things, those sort of things. So this is good for nurturing yourself and others in a way that helps you grow, that ultimately serves your soul growth. So this is good for that. This is also good for aligning your personal values with social trends, but not letting those trends shape your values in a way where you lose your strong footing, you lose your parachute safety net, you lose your values, and you're getting just submerged into the values of others. So it's important to, yes, be open to those other values, but hold your values very, very strong within yourself. So then we have Mars entering Leo on November 3rd. Quite a lot going on this particular day, quite a lot. So Mars is going to be in Leo. It's going to station retrograde on December 6th. So Mars in Leo. This is a time where we're focusing on ourselves. We're being more authentically ourselves than ever before. We may be oversharing ourselves. And so I'm going to give you the timeline of events. So Mars enters Leo on November 3rd. Mars stations retrograde in Leo on December 6th. It will move back into Cancer on January 6th next year. It will station direct on February 23rd next year. It will exit Cancer. Mars will move out of Cancer fully on April 18th, and it will remain in Leo until June 17th. So quite a long time. So this is a time to focus on yourself. Be confident, but not overzealous. It's very, very important to embody this quality at this time. It's very important to assert our confidence when it counts at the right time that we need to assert our confidence. Vanity, being vain, being self-centered will not serve our relationship since we're going to be reviewing that with the Mars retrograde. Where have we been too self-centered in ways that hurts our relationship? So, this is about not being all about you. Well, not them downplaying who you are, but not being all about you and not taking center stage all the time. This is very, very important. So it's important to not brag about how exciting your life is around others because you may not know what they may be going through. Your life may be so great, you may get the promotion at work, you may get engaged, all those kind of things like that. However, you don't know what the person is going through, their struggles, their experiences. So before you brag about your life, don't brag to the people who are going through it much worse than you are. And there's actually a Doorman film, which I will link down in the description, of this lesson in particular, where a woman is sitting, she's sick, um, her relationship fell apart, and this other lady is bragging about how great her life is. So you can see that lesson play out in the way that it does. So I will link that video down in the description if I remember to do so so that you can check that out because as I was preparing for this video, that really came to mind, so I decided to give it a watch again. Um, so it's important to express yourself, but also allow others to express themselves as well. Do not let other people make you question your confidence. Don't let them downplay your confidence. So if someone is challenging you, questioning your confidence, downing your ability, discouraging you in any way, putting you down, making you feel less worthy, whatever it is, then acknowledge that and come to terms with it and draw healthy boundaries with that and saying, you know what, I'm going to do this anyway. I have the courage and confidence to do this anyway. I don't care what you say. I'm going to do this because I authentically want to do it. So this is good for assessing situations before causing drama. Very, very important here. It's important to be direct, but in a diplomatic, peaceful manner where you're considering the viewpoints of other people. You're considering what is in place for the collective, what is in place for the all of, whoever is in that particular situation with you. Considering respecting other people in your approach of being direct. Less is more, that's also very, very important. Your patience may be tested. You may be more irritable, more easily able to explode. And so keeping your temper in check is very, very important now. You may be used to getting taken care of first, but you may not get taken care of first at this time. So it's important to allow others to get themselves taken care of first and respect others' perspectives and viewpoints and their own motives and values before your own. Because you will not always get all the attention all day long. So you have to come to an acceptance with this, and you will slowly and gradually when Mars will retrograde in Leo. So it's important to not cause arguments, be a class act. There may be a surge of creative energy now. You may be feeling more creative at this time. This is about gaining recognition of your efforts and having a high sense of pride, really being prideful, being very proud of what you've done, what you've achieved, what you have got over, all these types of things, what you have struggled through, what you have done in your life. So, another thing about Leo energy is that it demands respect and attention, demands to be recognized and unconditionally loved and appreciated for who it is. Leo demands appreciation. And so it may express its talent, its passions in very energetic and flamboyant ways. It's also very, very important now to evaluate what triggers your anger. Know your triggers of how this person says something in a certain tone. If this thing happens in a certain way that can cause you to get triggered and get angry or frustrated. Knowing these triggers and choosing to respond rather than react when you feel angry, frustrated, tense, annoyed, whatever the emotions are. And so this is also a very generous, warm-hearted energy with Mars and Leo. And this is good for defending your position and doing something new that is fun and creative. It's a great time to initiate new things that is fun and creative until the retrograde. Then it's time to reinitiate the things that you did in the past that you put aside that you know what, I want to pretend to teach again. I want to pretend to have an invented again, as my personal examples. Um, and or I want to pretend to be Julia Esconroll again. Whatever it may be that that you are redoing from the past of the things that you started in the past that you've sort of that have fizzled out that were creative passions that you had at one point, but then you lost interest in them. You may regain the interest and inspiration in those things at this time when Mars is retrograde in Leo. So let's move into another section of this video where I reveal two oracle cards for each day. I am using I'm just going to take a look see here and see if you can see the um part. It is the deck I'm using today is Angels and Ancestors by Kyle Gray. And what I do is I pull oracle cards, which are mirrors of spirit, telephones of spirit. They give insight and guidance, things to think about. You don't have to follow the oracle cards. You don't have to verbatim follow what I'm saying or apply or embody even what I'm saying. Just have that in your mind as a thought that you're thinking about throughout the day, that you're aware of. And this thought may have actually affect your actions, and you may actually feel the inspiration to embody what you may be thinking about. So they're just things to think about. That's all oracle cards are. Um, so the card that I chose for this day is the Spirit Fox, and it says, "Trust your talents in changing times." That's what it says. So even if things are changing, even if things are shifting, can you still stay true to what you find talent? what you find comfortable in your own life, what your talents are, despite the changes that may go on in your life. Can you hold true to your challenge even if the wind and ocean are sweeping those things away from you? It's important to stay true to what you can do well as best as you can. It's important to stay alert at this time as well, um, and go through whatever emotional process that you have to go through, even if it's uncomfortable. Going through this messy divorce, this messy unbolution, or this unorthodox church heretic accusation. Going through this training destroyer. Whatever the issue is, it's very important to be willing to go through the circumstance because the only way out is through. This is important to trust in spirit that the path that you're going on is the path that you're meant to be going on, that you will reap positive rewards at the very end of it that are beyond what you can imagine and what your ego actually desires. That is beyond your ego, that transcends, that um um exaltates the ego. Um and so um surrender your ego is very, very important. Surrender your ego and form a greater connection with your higher power is very, very important now. So let's move on to November 4th. So the very, very first aspect happening is the sun will trine Saturn. This is the first aspect that we're going to talk about. The sun's in Scorpio, Saturn's in Pisces. So both of these are water signs. This brings about stability, it can bring about balance, it brings about structure, it can bring about a sense of routine, a sense of things being reliable, things being stable, things being predictable. So this is a good time to go past your obstacles. Remove your obstacles from your life. This is good for achieving and accumulating things as well. This is good for recognition and payoff from your hard work and success. You may get a lot of recognition from your hard work, and you may rate very positive, very worthwhile rewards for your hard work and succession. Now's the time to work hard and succeed. This is good for setting your long-term goals up in the right place, up in the right track course for your advancement. It's important that your ambitions right now are achievable and realistic. This is about enjoying the work that you're doing, finding a stability, finding a routine, finding a comfort, a familiarity in that work, even if it is boring, even if it is no matter how mundane it is. You will likely feel the need to talk about your goals as if you were a party or a celebration. So you're feeling the need to talk about your goals and ambitions, to talk with others, to map all those out, to write those on a list and take it to the party, basically, take it to the races. This is good for reaching your goals. It may be easier at this time because of your determination and persistence and discipline. So you're very willing to see this through to completion. You're willing to get this thing done, and you're disciplined in your approach when it comes to that. This is good to have a lot of recognition for your hard work and dedication, and others will look up to you for your abilities. So it's good to teach others how to work hard, have a strong work ethic, have a disciplined approach, have a persistence. Um, this is very, very important now. And relationships will benefit from loyalty and respect and dependability. Another aspect going on today is that we have the moon trine Chiron. So the moon is in Sagittarius, around 20 degrees. Chiron is in Aries. So this is good for attracting others that need your secure nurturing to help heal their wounds. And you can make other people feel more secure when it comes to their wounds now more than ever. Where do you need to bring more nourishing to your wounds, more healing to your wounds? This is about embracing your path, your pain as a catalyst for your growth. Pain can be a tremendous source of growth. It's part of the growing process. Ever heard of growing pains? So, there can be a greater attunement toward your emotional needs and sensitivities as well at this time. It's important to look at how your wounds have shaped your relationship with yourself and your sense of self-worth as well. This is good for releasing limiting beliefs that keep you from experiencing the abundance that life has to offer as well. It's important to have self-love and compassion towards your vulnerabilities. You may be more intuitively drawn to new opportunities to turn past traumas around. So, what new opportunities can help you reframe and have a different perspective on the traumas and the drama that you have gone through in your life? How can you change your perspective? And where will you place your attention? Because whatever you place your attention on will manifest in your life. So, this is good for showing your sensitive side as people will be drawn to your caring nature as well. Another aspect going on today is that we have the moon square Saturn. So, this restricts your feelings. Whenever we have the moon in a square with Saturn, the moon is in Sagittarius, Saturn's in Pisces. This is a mutable square. So, your feelings may be more restricted at this time. This is about connecting with others in meaningful ways that can be more challenging to connect with others in these types of ways now. You may be feeling lonely or feeling depressed. Something very good to consider is if you have any women in your life, and if they happen to nag you, draw healthy boundaries toward those women and say, no, I'm going to do this on my own time. I have this in the handy. I'm going to manage this. Just relax and trust me that this is going to get done. Nagging women do have an issue when it comes to trusting you to do whatever you need to get done. So it's very, very important that you establish that you are trustworthy, that you are reliable in this kind of way. You may have loneliness because of your internal state, more than anything. Not so much externally, but more internally is what this is about. What are the self-care things, the do things that you can do, whatever those things are? Now's the time to ground yourself. Saturn can make things more daunting and more challenging than they actually are as well. And so this is good for approaching conflicts diplomatically as well, having a peaceful approach to those conflicts. It's also good to express your responsibilities with self-care. It's good to acknowledge your achievements, even if it's the smallest thing that you've done. Even if it's picking up a radish off the ground. Even if it's sacrificing water for carbon footprint. Even if it is making a little step, writing a little paragraph in your essay, just a little bit. Acknowledge, pat yourself in the back for the hard work that you've done. Give yourself credit. Give yourself that praise. Give yourself that acknowledgement of what you have done. So, this is good for addressing your fears and insecurities as well. It's good for also being emotionally mature by taking responsibility for your emotional reactions as well. So being emotionally mature involves one of the things is taking responsibility for your emotional reactions. Relationships could suffer from coldness and bullying, so be mindful of that. Natural events may make separation from the people that you love a possibility. So, storm plane getting delivered, mudslide, icy roads, topped off scotchings, whatever it may be, that the weather conditions may make it difficult for you to connect with your loved ones, for that to be in the handy, for that to be a possibility. So be mindful of that. Now, the moon will sextile Lilith, which is another aspect going on today. So this is good for following your inhibitions, expressing yourself more emotionally, being more open in your expression, being emotionally resilient, as well as what this relates to having a passion for life. You may have a lust for life, a zest for it. Now, you may have a very excited and optimistic outlook on your life. Your creative juices could be flowing, and you're more in alignment with your true self than ever before. You may feel more creative. You may feel more um, just willing to give it a go and try it for the heck of it. This is good for evaluating how you can give back to humanity, or the world or your community. How can you make a difference? How can you serve that? You may also have your intuitions about others being more clear. Now, the I think it's the final aspect that we're going to talk about is actually the second to last aspect is the moon is going to oppose Jupiter. So the moon's in Sagittarius, Jupiter's in Gemini. These are opposite signs. Sagittarius and Gemini is the learning axis of the zodiac. It's about different forms of learning. Gemini is much more detail oriented. Sagittarius is much more big picture thinking. So with the moon opposite Jupiter, it's very, very important to make sure that your overly generous mood and way of being is not getting taken advantage of. Be mindful of that. You may also fall into more harmful habits and behaviors if you're not careful, overindulging in such things. It's important to moderate yourself, especially when it comes to drugs and food. Actually don't have the drugs at all. Um, this is a time where you may feel more social and open at this time. It's good for putting yourself out there, uh, not being afraid to do this. So, um, putting yourself out there, being more social. How much access are you allowing others into your private life? It's very, very important to evaluate that you're not being overexposed, that you're not giving away things that you don't want to give and letting people know certain things that you want to keep private. Be mindful of not overspending your money at this time because you may feel more drawn to overindulge in that as well. The moon will conjunct Venus. So, with the moon conjunct Venus, in the sign of Sagittarius, um, this is good for enjoying and taking advantage of greater harmony in your life. There's greater harmony in relationships. You can better attract love and beauty at this particular time. I may be feeling more social. This is also great for connecting with your romantic partner or making friends. This is good for sped long based on emotional reactions as opposed to common sense. So you may feel more sped long as opposed to common sense. There's a very, very big difference between these two things. Um, and so sped long is more on the emotional sides of things, more subjective. Common sense is more objective. This is good for entertaining, cooking, and caring for others. Could have a more could have more benefits at this time. So it's good to do these things. And this is an opportunity and an invitation to deepen a romantic connection, to deepen your romantic connections. Now I'm going to reveal to you the second card that I picked. This card is for November 4th, and it is the card Great Teacher. Hopefully you can see that. Great Teacher. Learn from spiritual experiences. So what are the lessons that and actually I just completely forgot I was going to read to you a section of these cards in the guidebook. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to the card that I pulled earlier, which is the Spirit Fox, and I'm going to read to you a section from the guidebook as to what that is about because I completely forgot to do that. Let me just find it here. Spirit Fox on page 74. So, what is the spirit fox actually? What actually is the spirit fox? So, the message is trust your talents in changing times. The spirit fox features my favorite animal of all time. The red fox, an amazingly resilient creature able to survive in urban environments or the freezing temperatures of the Arctic. Foxes know what it's like to be hunted. For centuries, they have been sought for their precious fur when all they want is to survive. The spirit fox can help you overcome the energies of adversity and unfair treatment. Also, as urban foxes hide in cities and go about their business in the darkest hours, the fox offers the medicine of blending in. So, um, on page 36, which it lists the um which is actually page 36, not 56. So the message for the great teacher is learn from spiritual experiences. Know that what is happening around you is divinely inspired. Learn from your current experiences, then share them with others. And the spirit fox, um, this is the message for the spirit fox. Let me just find it here. Is stay alert as changes in the air. But let's go back to the great teacher on page 36. So I'm going to read to you in general what it is about if I can find it here. Okay, so what is the great teacher? Who is the great teacher? This card, I'll just hold it up. This card was inspired by Jesus, who is one of the most widely acknowledged and loved spiritual teachers of all time. But there is a great teacher in every tradition, and this card represents the one to whom you feel closest, as well as the great teacher within. The teacher wears simple clothes here to demonstrate that even if you have a simple life, it can be an incredibly spiritual one. He is surrounded by a sense of serenity and harmony because he has absolute trust in the higher power that moves through him, and the dove on the card represents receiving answers to prayers through signs and experiencing peace through joy. So, what this is about learning the lessons that you need to learn from the experiences that you've had. What are the really valuable experiences in your life, and what are the lessons that you learn from these experiences? It's good to evaluate and reflect on those things now and learn of those lessons. It's about leaning into a spiritual way of life as well. What is the work that you're putting your time, effort, and energy into at this time? And who is the great spiritual teacher in you, and what are the lessons that it's teaching you through your intuition, through your guides, or in those lessons at this time? So that's all I have for you today. Thank you for tuning in. This was a big video, a lot of information in here. I hope that you share this with someone who will benefit from all this information. Like this video, subscribe, hit the notification bell. I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.